Here at the Bronx Zoo, we are the headquarters of the Wildlife Conservation Society, also known as WCS. We have scientists and eco-guards working in the field, and zookeepers working here at home to protect animals all over the world. I will point out animals as we approach them, but I will need your help. Scientists and zookeepers use good observation skills to learn about animals' behaviors and ensure their health. Let me know what you see and share it with other guests. Think about what an animal is doing and what your observations might mean.
Kind of like the river.
We have now traveled over 7,000 miles and arrived in Asia. Be on the lookout for animals. Now, normally in this meadow, you'd be seeing some of our deer species. However, they seem to have migrated to another part of the meadow, so we'll be catching up to them very shortly. In the meantime, here's a word from one of our scientists about working with these deer.
The rhinos use...
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm part of the Wild Asia Keeper team. We call this area Kanha Meadow, where we care for about 40 Barasingha deer, 15 axis deer, 10 black buck, and a pair of muntjacs. We start our day by checking on all the animals, making sure they are healthy, behaving normally, and safe. Sometimes, fawns and calves are born overnight. Newborns are given a neonatal exam, which includes weighing, vaccination, and tagging for identification purposes. While the animals are in the meadow, we prepare their nighttime holding areas so that they have a safe and clean place to spend the night.
Now, as we pass these two huts, you can see one of our baby muntjac deer. There's two right there. There's the mother and her baby. These huts also represent an interesting WCS conservation story.
Farmers in Indonesia live closely with wild animals, like elephants, which we will see shortly. WCS field staff work with local leaders and farmers in Indonesia to come up with the Crop Protection Unit. This unit created many different ways for farming to continue in close proximity of wild animals. One strategy was to soak ropes in chili powder and place them around the crops. Elephants do not like chili and leave the farms alone, allowing the farmer and the animals to share the habitat peacefully.
Now, we all know that a species that is extinct no longer exists, like the dinosaurs on the dodo herd. The next animal we'll see was on the verge of extinction. In fact, the Mongolian wild horse, also known as Bronchosaurus, was extinct in nature, meaning they can only be found in zoos. Recently, there have been some reintroductions of Mongolian wild horses in several areas of Mongolia and China from herds in North American and Asian zoos. Now, while you observe these horses, you may notice some differences between these ones and the domestic ones we are more used to seeing. You may notice that they have a stockier build, shorter legs, and an erect mane, which is missing a forelock. Now, the forelock is the piece of the mane that falls over the forehead. Here's a note from one of our scientists about working with these horses.
I'm Jonathan Slatt, and I'm the Russia and Northeast Asia coordinator for the Wildlife Conservation Society. I believe that wildlife has a place on this earth, and my job is to find practical solutions that allow people and wildlife to thrive together. Peter Przewalski's horse went extinct in the wild in the 1960s. And on a recent trip to Kazakhstan, I thought about the ongoing and successful efforts in that country to bring these horses back to the Central Asian steppe. The world needs happy stories, to watch the impossible become possible, and to see hope restored. That's what's happening today with Peter Przewalski's horse.
The Bronx Zoo received its first animals in 1902. Today, we have had over 50 Mongolian wild horse foals born right here at the Bronx Zoo. Now, just like you or I, our field researchers sometimes find it difficult to locate the animals they want to study. Let me give you some clues for locating the next animals. Think of where you'd want to go if you wanted a shady spot, a quiet place to rest, or a little grazing time. Look for those places. You can also use binoculars or zoom on your camera to get a close-up look. You forgot your binoculars? Roll up your view map and use it as a scope.
Oh, what happened?
Coming up in this next area, we are now on the lookout for two vulnerable species, our gaur and our brown-antlered deer. They've been hanging out towards the far right of the field, so we'll catch up with them very shortly. Here we go. I can see some of our gaur now. They're all standing in the middle of the trees over there. You don't even need binoculars to get a look at a gaur. They are the largest wild cattle in the world. Males can weigh over 2,000 pounds, as much as a small car. They stand up to 6 feet tall and are 10 feet long. With their large size and impressive horns, a male gaur can fight off just about anything, even a tiger. What threatens these huge animals is the loss of their ancient habitat and the diseases they can catch from domestic cattle. Now, the smaller, light hand one is their baby. She is 2 months old.
Look at those. Look at that. Big animals. Whoa.
Now, if you look way towards the back, past the gaur, you can see some of our brown antler deer. Brown antler deer get their name from the curved shape of the male deer's antlers. However, you will not be able to get a look at those antlers, as it is an all-female group currently. Currently classified as vulnerable, these deer are continuing to lose their wild space. In many places, herds must resort to feeding on crops, as their natural habitat has been taken over for farming. Now, as we practice our scientific observation skills, you might be hearing a noise coming from the concrete jungle rather than an Asian one. It's easy to forget that the Bronx Zoo sits in the heart of an urban environment, but the noise you can hear behind you now is traffic on the Bronx Zoo Parkway. The large fence directly in front of us is used to reduce the noise of city traffic. Now, as we come out on this other side of the fence, we will be on the lookout for our tiger. I ask again that everyone please remain seated while we look for the tiger. Tiger stripes provide excellent camouflage, so they are often difficult to spot. They are also very secretive, even to the point where some of our researchers have trouble finding them. Adult tigers are typically solitary and live alone in the wild, which is why you only see one of them at a time in this exhibit. On the far side, towards the right, you can see our male Siberian tiger, Anakin. He's 7 years old. Don't worry if you can't see him now, we'll see him as we pass him by. Tigers hunt a variety of animals, but they prefer wild pigs and medium-sized deer. Typically, a tiger will gorge itself on a fresh kill, eating as much as 40 pounds of meat at one time. Just think, that's the equivalent of 160 hamburgers in one sitting. After a meal of that size, the tiger will usually not eat again for several days. Hogs and pigs eat. All tigers are endangered today. Habitat loss, lack of prey, and poaching have all reduced tiger numbers. As a result, there may be as few as 3,000 tigers left in the wild today, with only 1,000 of those being breeding females. You can get a closer look at our tigers by visiting Tiger Mountain. Now coming up over here, we're on the opposite side of that field we just passed. Here are the brown antler deer that were very far away earlier. You can get a closer look at them right now. Now those small deer you see over there are our black buck antelope. The birds you see to the left of us are our peafowl. The males are called peacocks, while the females are called peahens. Now coming up over here, alongside the road, sitting next to the fence, you can see some of our Barasinga deer. Barasinga means smoker.
That's the best place, Mama.
Now, the next animal blends in with the muddy area it calls home. If you see what looks like a pig with tusks that are up at the top of its snout and curve backwards towards its eyes, you have found a pig called a babirusa. Now, babirusa means pig deer in the Malay language. Males use their tusks to fight other males to display dominance in order to attract females. Coming up in our first fence, we can keep our eyes out for Linus. Let's see. He may be hiding. In our next fence, we can see next to the tree our mother-son duo, Kathy and Hillshire. They're sitting down next to the tree. Now, as we pull into our next area, we will slow down. Please remain seated. I also ask that everyone please keep your voices down, as we do not want to scare our elephant friends.